Hello and welcome to another Den of Iniquity. This week, Greenie gave me homework to do. Now, by that I mean, basically there's a film doing the rounds and a lot of people kind of thought it was crap, and we saw a trailer for another film that was in the same vein, so we thought, this would be really cool, go off and watch the remake and say how crappy it was, and then go off and watch this other film and say how awesome it is, and unfortunately I can't really do that. Now don't get me wrong, the other film was actually really quite good, but I can't say that the remake was crap either. Not when it actually does everything a remake is supposed to do. So here's the thing. We've all seen the haunted house genre. We've all seen these kind of films come out over the last few years, and to be perfectly honest, most of the time I don't bother. Why? Because they're always giving us the same thing. That same thing, of course, being what the remake is. Poltergeist. Now, yes, I know haunted house films were done before Poltergeist, and they'll be, always will be haunted house movies, because let's face it, who doesn't have a good haunted house story? But Poltergeist really set a standard and garnered itself a lot of cult following, partially because of the film, also partially because of the real life messed up stuff that seems to follow the actors for it. But that being pushed aside, the remake came out recently, and to be perfectly honest, all I've heard from a lot of people is, oh, it's crap, oh, it's terrible, all this and all that. So yeah, I stuck it on last night and I was expecting dire shite. And no, that's not what I got. Was it the best thing I've ever seen in my life? Fuck no. But I can't call it a pile of shite either. Mainly because it does what a lot of other remakes failed to do. And that is capturing the original spirit of the story, no pun intended, reworking it to incorporate society today. And by society today I mean, if you look at the old Poltergeist film, it all centered around the TV, and it was always electrical disturbances and all this and all that. So in a society where we have electrical stuff coming out of our fucking ears, it makes all the sense in the world to incorporate that into your film, and they do very, very well. So A, updating the film. B, introducing it to a new audience. Because let's face it, while the original Poltergeist movie has a cult following, 9 times out of 10 cult following means it's fucking old and has, earned that test of time. In this case, you are going to get a lot of people that are like, Poltergeist, yeah, they've seen all the different references, they've seen different things being done that are linked to it. As I said, there's a bajillion other haunted house films that, for want of a term, rip it the fuck off. But in this case, they get to see where all of these things came from, and maybe, just maybe, they'll get to understand my anger towards half of these fucking new things. I'm like, oh. So it does that. And it does it well, which is the important part. We're not getting some half-baked thing, and yeah, I'm not going to lie, I was watching this thing fully intending to slate it. The fact that Justin Hammer is in it, basically being Justin Hammer, I was all prepared to go off on a rant, but no, by the end of it you're kind of going, you know what, fuck it, leave him off, he's good. Yeah, he's typical American, I guess, can't really call him naive, but cynical, I guess. Cynical is the best way of putting him, and a bit of an idiot, but, nonetheless. The kid, while perhaps not being as creepy as one might expect, still came off, I thought the innocence of it kind of was a nice off-putting touch. So all in all, the new Poltergeist remake, I have to say, yeah, it's good. It's not going to blow your socks off, but at the very least, it will introduce a new audience to the film and maybe getting them going, you know what, if that's what the remake is like, I wonder what the original is like. And let us not forget, the original only really stands the test of time due to its cult following. So, straight away after that, I lined up my next film. Now, the next film, myself and Greenie saw the trailer for it and went, oh yeah, that's going to be cool. That's going to be awesome. And mainly because it took, I suppose, the visual aspect of a haunting in a slightly different direction. It was the special effects, really, that got us. The apparitions themselves appear, for want of a better term, like toasty people. So when it came down to it, yeah, stick on the next film, which was We Are Still Here, and said, okay, I'm going to sit back, relax, this is going to be awesome. Knew very little about it apart from the effects. Unfortunately, while being good, I can't say it came off as being anything more than, a movie version of a Tales from the Crypt episode. Now don't get me wrong, Tales from the Crypt is awesome, but I was expecting something a little bit more original. Instead, what we had was something that has been kind of cliched, which is you have your haunted house and it's situated in a town, and town folks, they don't take too kindly to new people, not so much moving in as trying to get the fuck away. I don't want to divulge too much about the story, but that much you would have gotten from the trailer anyway. But, you know, it is something that we've seen before. In this case, as I said, it's done well. It's done very well, visually speaking. Don't get me wrong, all the acting is spot on, but it didn't really show me anything new, and I was expecting something new. Apart from the look of the special effects and just the idea of how the apparitions and that, or ghosts or whatever you want to call, interact. Plus, to be perfectly honest, it's always nice to see a good Lovecraftian themed story. And while this doesn't have, you know, the reaches from beyond or the tentacles or anything like that, if you look at what's below the surface, it is a Lovecraftian story. I also urge anyone that's watching it to keep watching it through, you know, for the credits, just because there's stuff that's alluded to in the film that actually gets, it's kind of cool, it gets shown. So, yeah, basically to wrap things up, the haunted house thing has been done to death. And here we have a prime example of a remaking of a classic haunted house compared to a new haunted house. And yeah, while I was expecting to slate the remake and, you know, exalt the new one, I can't actually do either. However, what I can do is this. Watch both films, because the remake does the job well. And the new film, We Are Still Here, does its job pretty well as well. It gives us perhaps not a new approach, or perhaps not a new story, but it certainly gives us visually a very, very entertaining scene, and one that, as I said, once you see how the ghosts interact, it's just the way they do it is cool. You know what I mean? It's just, you see something sometimes and you kind of go, yeah, that's cool. And that's what this film does. And that's what a lot of films in this genre, in this haunted house genre, have failed to do as far as I'm concerned. Because rather than taking a risk and taking a different approach, they just go with the same thing. And that same thing happens to be what the Poltergeist gave us back in the fucking, you know, with the original, which the remake does perfectly fine as well. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I recommend both films to be watched, far above probably most haunted house films that are going to come out. I can't say that I can slate the Poltergeist remake. I can't say that I can talk up We Are Still Here, but I can certainly say go out and watch both films, because at the end of the day, they do stomp all over most of the haunted house shite that has come out in the last decade from the mainstream stuff. That's it. End of discussion.
Enjoy our videos. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and visit us at www.emorgoresociety.com.